From stately Berglund Manor, this is Kurt Berglund with another Stratomatic Gem series. These are best of 3 format, super advanced rules with no blocking the plate and no bringing home runs back from over the wall. Come on, Stratomatic, you're overdoing it. But fun series ahead. And a series that I really don't know how it's going to go. I don't really have much of a prediction on this one, and maybe that's good. The opponents are the 1985 St. Louis Cardinals, winners of 101 games, and losers, that's right, losers of the World Series to the Kansas City Royals. Their opponent, the 1972 Cincinnati Reds. 95 games won during the 1972 season, and they are the losers of the 1972 World Series to the Oakland Athletics. So, because the Cardinals won 6 more games in the regular season, I awarded the home field advantage to them. They will host Game 1 and Game 3 if necessary. The Reds will host Game 2. The weather is bad tonight, which means it's going to be tough to drive one out of here, and it's going to be tough to get a single on Stratomatic Ballpark Effects. The pitchers that I've chosen for tonight's game, for the Cincinnati Reds, right-hander Gary Nolan, and for the St. Louis Cardinals, left-hander John Tudor. Let's look at the lineups. For the visiting Cincinnati Reds, leading off in left field, Pete Rose. Batting second at second base, Joe Morgan. Batting third in center field, Bobby Tolan. Excuse me. I think he might be the key to the series. I really do. Batting fourth, the catcher, Johnny Bench. Batting fifth, and these cards are really hard to pull apart, first baseman, Tony Perez. Batting sixth, the right fielder, against left-handed pitching, George Foster. Batting seventh, third baseman, Dennis Menke. Batting eighth, not the player he would become later, Dave Concepcion. And batting ninth will be the pitcher, Gary Nolan. Gary Nolan in 1972 was battling back from arm miseries, and he would have more in his future. He was 15-5 with a 1.99 ERA in 25 starts. For the homestanding St. Louis Cardinals, left fielder Vince Coleman leads off. Center fielder William McGee bats second. Second baseman Tommy Herr bats third. First baseman Jack Clark bats fourth. Right fielder Andy Van Slyke bats fifth. Third baseman Terry Pendleton bats sixth. Catcher Darrell Porter bats seventh. Shortstop Ozzie Smith bats eighth. And the pitcher John Tudor, left-hander with his best season. John Tudor in 1985 went 21-8 with a 1.93 earned run average in 36 starts. 36 starts. All right. We're in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. The opposing managers, Whitey Herzog for the Cardinals and Sparky Anderson for the Reds. Let's get rolling. Batting first, leading off the ball game for the Reds, left fielder Pete Rose against Tudor. The pitch to him is a ground ball to third base. That's Pendleton, who throws across to Clark, and that's one out. Standing in now, Joe Morgan, second baseman for the Reds. Ground ball second base. That's going to be Tommy Herr, who's going to flip to Clark, and that's 2 down. And Bobby Tolan, center fielder for the Reds. He swings and misses at a Tudor breaking pitch, and that's strike 3, and that retires the Reds in the first. We go to the bottom of the inning, and it's Vince Coleman leading off against Gary Nolan. Line shot, but Joe Morgan is playing him perfectly, and that's 1 down. Willie McGee. Ground ball short. That's Concepcion. He fields. He throws. And he gets his man at first base, McGee, by a step. 2 down. Tommy Herr stands in against Nolan. The pitch is a ground ball headed toward Concepcion. He makes the play for the out, and that retires the Cardinals in the first. We go to the second, and we are scoreless. Each pitcher throws a perfect first inning, and the Reds have bench Perez and Foster to contend with here in the second. Here's a fly ball to center field. That's way back. McGee to the wall, but bench doesn't quite get it. Willie takes it on the warning track, and that's 1 down. Tony Perez. Line drive, base hit. Perez left field, and the Reds have their first hit of the ball game. There will not be a no-hitter by John Tudor today. George Foster. Ground ball second. That's Herr. And that is flip to Ozzie. And Ozzie to Clark. And that's a double play. The Reds are out in the second. We go to the bottom of the second, and we are still scoreless. In fact, thanks to the double play, we have faced the minimum so far. Clark, Van Slyke, Pendleton against Nolan. Ground ball second, that's Morgan. And Morgan makes the play for out number 1. Andy Van Slyke, a very young Andy Van Slyke in 1985. Ground ball second, that's Morgan again. He's going to throw to Perez, and that's 2 down. Terry Pendleton. Ground ball second. Joe Morgan's going to tie a record held by many. Throws to first and gets his man. That retires the side in the second. We go to the third. We're scoreless. John Tudor back on the bump. Facing Menke, Concepcion, and Nolan. And probably thanking his lucky stars that that's who he gets to face. Because that ain't the big red machine. Menke swings and misses at a Tudor fastball. Strike 3. Dave Concepcion swings and misses at a Tudor fastball. Strike 3. And Gary Nolan. Line shot, but caught by Herr. And that retires the Reds in the third. We go to the bottom of the third. We are scoreless. Gary Nolan back on the bump. Porter, Ozzie, and Tudor up this inning for St. Louis. Fly ball left field. That's Rose, who's going to make the grab for out number 1. Ozzie's hit by a pitch, and he takes his base. Now Whitey's got a chance to do their running game. Ozzie's going to try and get a lead. Ooh. But Yeah, they're going to be aggressive. Bench has a great throwing arm. Nolan holds runners well, but Ozzy's going for the jump. He doesn't get it. Tudor may be asked to bunt here. He is asked to bunt. He does get it down. It's a sacrifice back to Nolan. Nolan to Morgan, and that moves Ozzy up. And with 2 outs, it's Vince Coleman. Chance to drive in a run. Popped it up. Joe Morgan. And Coleman fails in the clutch. We go to the 4th. And we have no score in Busch Stadium. Pete Rose leads off the 4th, top of the order for the Reds, and a line drive base hit up the middle for Rose, and he's on. Joe Morgan stands in. And Morgan draws a walk. So there's 2 on for the Reds and nobody out. Tudor in his first jam of the ball game. Bobby Tolan stands in. Sparky could bunt here, but he's going to disdain the bunt. And Tudor strikes out Tolan. If Tolan bunts there, they walk bench and pitch to Perez with the bases loaded. Maybe that's not a treat, but you take the bat out of Bench's hands. And Tudor goes upstairs and gets Bench swinging. 2 down. And Perez. 1 for 1 today. And Tony Perez hits it high. Hits it deep, left field, Coleman to the fence, and he makes the play for the 3rd out. So Rose and Morgan do their jobs, but Tolan, Bench, and Perez do not do theirs. We go to the bottom of the 4th, and we are still scoreless in St. Louis. Willie McGee stands in. It's McGee, Herr, and Clark. Willie lines a base hit. It's right up the middle. And Willie McGee is on. Willie McGee stole 56 bases in 72 attempts in 1985. He's trying for the jump. He gets the jump. And there he goes. And he is safe. McGee steals on Bench and Nolan. He is now on second base. Tommy Herr. 0 for 1 today. Nobody out. Popped him up. Concepcion, a young Concepcion, waves off Menke and takes the pop-up for out number 1. Jack Clark, first base open. Gary Nolan's going to pitch to him. Fly ball right field. That's Foster. Oh, this could get interesting. This could get real interesting. That's going to... land for a base hit. Jack Clark, a base hit to right. McGee around 3rd, and he will score the first run of the game on a Clark RBI single. Van Slyke with 1 out. Ground ball 2nd. Morgan, Concepcion, Perez, double play. The Cardinals settle for 1, but it's their running game that got it for him. McGee singles, steals 2nd, and scores on a single by Clark. That's Cardinal baseball, even if it makes you throw up in your mouth a little bit. That was what they were like. All right, going to the 5th, Tudor, Foster, Menke, and Concepcion are his opponents this inning. The pitch to George. Line shot. Right at Pendleton. There's 1 down. Dennis Menke, longtime shortstop. Braves, Astros, finishing up here with the Reds. And Tudor with the high heat strikes Menke out for the 2nd time. Yikes. And Dave Concepcion. Menke's like, at this point in his career, he was, I think, a pretty decent player. At this point in his career, he's the poor man's Tom Brookins, and that's not a compliment. You don't even want to be the rich man's Tom Brookins. Dave Concepcion stands in 0 for 1 today. On drive, base hit, Concepcion. He's aboard. He's got speed. 13 bases in 19 attempts. Tudor's got an excellent move to first base. Nolan stands in and strikes out. That retires the Reds in the 5th. The Big Red Machine ain't right now. Cardinals would love some more insurance. Gary Nolan will face Pendleton, Porter, and Ozzie in the bottom of the 5th. Pendleton walks. Darryl Porter. Walks. And now Sparky's got to be thinking about bullpen here, because if this thing... Tudor was pretty amazing in 85. If this thing gets ridiculous, there's not going to be a chance to come back. Well, Tom Hall is going to warm up. We know that. And just to give him something to do so they don't have to listen to him in the bullpen, Ed Sprague's going to warm up too. Ozzie Smith stands in. He's not had an official at bat yet. He was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. The pitch to him. Line show. Wild pitch chance for Nolan. Not a wild pitch. Ozzie keeps the 1. Catch X. Can Bench make the play? Can Bench make this play? No, he can't. And you're not going to believe this one. Nope, it's a wild pitch. Gets by Bench. Runners move up. Ozzie is still at the plate. It's ball 1. Ozzie. Pendleton's on 3rd. Porter's on 2nd. They're going to let Ozzie swing away. And it's a line shot at Concepcion. 1 down. Tudor. Not accomplished with the stick. They're going to put on a safety squeeze. They're going to play in at the corners, though. Oh, boy. Yeah, safety squeeze. Nope, I don't think they got it. And it's 1-2. Tudor fouls it off. Whitey's going to take off the squeeze. Let Tudor swing away, if that's the term I'm looking for. And Tudor lifts one to right. He got a hold of it a little bit. Foster's back. He makes the catch. Pendleton's going to score. John Tudor hit a sacrifice fly. I can't believe it either. Porter holds at second. Vince Coleman comes to the plate. There's 2 outs, 1 in. 85 Cardinals lead this one 2-0. Coleman with a big run on second base. Porter, the pitch to him. Line shot right at Morgan. However, the Cardinals add a big insurance run. It's now 85 Cardinals 2, 72 Reds, nothing. Pete Rose stands in, trying to get something started for the Reds. Tudor's been in command. And it's a fly ball to left, to right. Sorry, right field. That's Van Slyke. 1 down. Morgan. 0 for 1 today. He strikes out swinging on Tudor gas. Bobby Tolan, 0 for 2. 2 strikeouts. Ground ball second. That's her. He flips to Clark, and the Reds are done in the 6th. Go to the bottom of the 6th. Gary Nolan back on the bump. McGee, her, Clark. Fly ball center field. Bobby Tolan's going to take this one. That's 1 down. Tommy Herr, 0 for 2. Ground ball second. That's Morgan. 2 down. And Clark. Hit 1 deep. Way back to left field. Rose to the wall. He's got no chance. Jack Clark hit 1 out of here in bad weather. It's 3-0 Cardinals and Andy Van Slyke. Lines a base hit. Nolan may be getting tired. No action in the Red bullpen. Pendleton stands in. Van Slyke had a little bit of speed. He's going to try for the jump. He does not get the jump. Pendleton's 0 for 1. And broken bat, base hit for Pendleton. Van Slyke stops at second. Porter is up, and we're going to get action in the Reds bullpen. Oh, boy. Don Gullett. Going to hurry up and get loose. Don Gullett. Darrell Porter stands in. And Nolan strikes him out swinging. And the Cardinals are done in the 6th. But they had another insurance run. And now lead the 72 Reds and by a score of 3-0. Tudor has allowed 3 hits, all singles. He's been in control. Fly ball center field, that's Willie McGee coming in a few steps and takes bench's liner. Tony Perez steps in, 1 for 2 today. Perez strikes out on Tudor heat, and Foster steps in, 0 for 2 today. Walked him. Big George draws a walk. 2 outs. Foster on first. Dennis Menke standing in. As I drop my dice all over the place. Menke, 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts on the day. That's a chance for Porter. And we've got oh, we're gonna do a pass ball check for Porter. He's a 3. He is not. He blocks the pitch. Okay, so Menke stands back in with a count of 1-0. And it's more Tudor gas. Past Menke. Let's count the Tudor strikeouts. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 strikeouts for Tudor in 7 innings. Go to the bottom of the 7th. The annoying Cardinals synthesizer is playing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Ozzy, not that I love the Reds. Don't get me wrong. Ozzy, 0 for 1. Popped him up. Dennis Menke's going to call everybody off and take it. That's out number 1. John Tudor will stand in. And Tudor hits a ground ball to second. That's Joe Morgan. He will flip to Perez, and that's 2 down. And Vince Coleman hits a ground ball to Morgan and completes an 0 for 4 day for himself. Maybe completes it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. After 7, the 85 Cardinals lead this one by a score of 3-0. Okay, Dave Concepcion leads off. He's 1 for 2 against Tudor. We're in the top of the 8th. The Reds got to get it going. They're running out of time. Pitch to Dave Concepcion. Struck him out. That's strikeout number 11. Hal McRae is going to grab a bat and hit for starting pitcher Gary Nolan. Hal McRae. I don't know what Sparky was doing with Hal McRae, but it wasn't working very well. He only gave him 97 at-bats in 1972. All right, so in 7 innings, Nolan allowed 5 hits. He walked 2 men, hit 1 with a pitch, and struck out 1. Allowed 3 runs, all of them earned. That closes the book on Gary Nolan. Clay Carroll is warming up in the Reds bullpen. He will be the new pitcher in the bottom of the 8th. Hawk, as he was referred to by friends and teammates, and sometimes Sparky himself. Hal McRae stands in against Tudor. The Cardinal bullpen is silent. Maybe it shouldn't be. Hal McRae just hit a base hit, and he's aboard with 1 out in the 8th. Pete Rose comes to the plate. He's 1 for 3 today. Equally annoying in 1972 as he was in any other year. Believe me. Yeah, that's going to get action going in the Cardinal bullpen. Daly and Worrell are going to warm up. A righty and a lefty, double barrel action. Rose stands in against the lefty Tudor. Line drive. Oh, got a wild pitch chance. Don't get it. Rose, the pitch. Pop up. Darryl Porter throws the mask away, and that's 2 down. Joe Morgan with 2 outs, and McRae still on first. And Tudor hits Morgan with a pitch, quite unintentionally, I'm sure, and yet it gives Bobby Tolan a chance to bat. Representing the tying run. Bobby Tolan in 1972, if we can build some drama, hit .283 with 8 home runs and 82 RBIs. He had 28 doubles and 5 triples. He slugged .386 and had a non-base percentage of .334. 0 for 3 today with 2 strikeouts against Tudor. The Reds really need him to get on base. Bench is on deck. Ground ball comebacker. Tudor was 1 man from being out of the game, and now he's going back to the bench. Tudor to Clark, and that retires the Reds in the 8th. The big red machine ain't today. Clay Carroll comes in. He will bat 9th. He will face McGee, Herr, and Clark. and gotta hold them where they are. Another run, not a good thing. And the Cardinals have sat down Worrell and Daly, and their closer, Jeff Lottie, is now warming up. And McGee, until he lost the job late in the year in '85 to Worrell, but I'm using him as the closer. You can initiate legal proceedings if you wish. Willie McGee, 1 for 3 with a stolen base and a run scored. MVP of the game, well, except for Tudor, so far. The pitch to Willie, ground ball second. Joe Morgan is going to throw to Perez for out number 1. Tommy Herr, 0 for 3. And trouble. Down the first base line past Perez. Going to have to be collected in the corner by Foster. And he makes second on the double. Clark. No. Well, the Reds got to get Tom Hall up again. And joining him will be Bourbon, because they did not expect Clay Carroll to have trouble. But that was wrong. So, Sparky very quickly, Captain Hook, as he was known, has Bourbon and Hall for double barrel action in the Reds bullpen. Carroll was their closer. Jack Clark stands in, 2 for 3, 2 ribbies, a run scored, and a home run. They're walking him. There's no way Jack Clark bats in this situation, so they're walking him. Van Slyke is due. Hall is not yet ready, so he will face Carroll. Van Slyke is 1 for 3. He grounded into a double play. The pitch to Andy. Boy, Carroll throws gas and gets it by him. A moving fastball. Kurt Gowdy called it a moving fastball when he saw him pitch in the 1970 World Series. And Terry Pendleton, 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Excuse me. Fly ball right field. George Foster is going to handle this one, believe it or not, and I'm sure Mets fans don't believe it. We go to the 9th, and it's 85 Cardinals 3, 72 Reds nothing. But 72 Reds have bench, Perez, and Foster leading off the 9th. Let's see what they can do. Tudor is on to try and complete the shutout. He's allowed 4 hits. He's allowed 1 walk, 2 walks. He hit a batter just because he's cranky, and he's struck out 11. Johnny Bench draws a walk. Now, Whitey could go to Lottie right now. And Tony Perez is better against left-handers, but Tudor's throwing a shutout. Perez is 1 for 3 with a strikeout against Tudor. They're leaving him in for one more hitter. And wow, Perez draws a walk. Now we got a problem. Here comes Whitey. He's going to get Tudor. Tudor got tired all of a sudden in the 9th, and I was slow to get him. And that one might cost the Cardinals. Lottie is coming in to try and get the save. He will bat 9th. And Foster is due, but Foster in 1972 didn't handle the righties very well. So it's Lottie is on, but we're going to see a pinch hitter. The Reds have a bench in 1972. Wow. Well, a lot of these guys apparently ordered bats from the bat company, but didn't really use them. So it's going to be Cesar Geronimo, who wasn't terrible offensively in 1972. I'll give you his numbers. Before we roll to see how he does against Lottie, Cesar hit 275 in 255 at-bats. He hit 4 homers. He slugged .412, and he was on base 34% of the time. So he's against Lottie. The Reds are down by 3, and Dennis Menke, with an 0 for 3 collar and the strikeout hat trick going, is on deck. If he tries to take one step toward home plate, Sparky is going to run out of the dugout and tackle him. But that's the next at bat. Cesar Geronimo wants to get on against Lottie. The pitch against I didn't tell you about the Cardinal closer. Add a little drama. 1985, Jeff Lottie was 5-2 with a 184 earned run average. He saved 19 games in 68 innings, and he only allowed 3 dingers. He did walk 26 men. That is kind of high for 60-some-odd innings. We'll see what that does. Geronimo stands in. Pinch hitting for Foster. Bench is on second. Perez is on first. Comebacker, Lottie, to Ozzie, to Clark. Cesar Geronimo just did the worst thing he could possibly do, and that is a double play. Dennis Menke is due. The Reds are definitely on life support, and it's going to be Joe Haig pinch hitting for him. There's 2 outs in the 9th. Bench is on third. There's nobody else on base. In 1972, Joe Haig hit 243 and 214 at-bats. 7 dingers. .416 was his slugging percentage. .350 was his on-base percentage. Dennis Menke did not take a step toward home plate because he did not want to be assaulted by Sparky Anderson. The pitch to Joe Haig from the arm of Jeff Lottie. Fly ball right field. That's going to drive Van Slyke back, but not far enough. And he makes the catch, and that retires the side. That ends the ball game. Game 1 of this one goes to the 1985 Cardinals by a score of 3-0. For the victorious St. Louis Cardinals, 3 runs on 4, 5, 6 hits, and they committed no errors. For the 1972 Cincinnati Reds, the Big Red Machine, they scored no runs on 4 hits, and they committed no errors. Winning pitcher, John Tudor, 1-0, obviously, in the first game of the series. The losing pitcher, Gary Nolan, 0-1, obviously, first game in the series. And the save goes to Jeff Lottie, first save of the series. Let's talk about Game 2 at Riverfront Stadium tomorrow between these 2 clubs. Joaquin Andujar, he of the calm disposition and even temper, will be pitching for the 1985 St. Louis Cardinals. He'll be opposed by Jack Billingham, who whined in the 1975 World Series about not pitching enough. I'll leave it up to you. If the Reds lose Game 2, they're done. If Billingham doesn't throw a good game, probably, they're done. And the Cardinals will take this best-of-3 game series. That's what's on the line. Hope you'll join me. Please click like and subscribe, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great day. So long, everybody.